Recording in progress. And I am here, and you are there, starting to filter into the digital classroom. So welcome, welcome. As you're coming on in, I will give my intro. Most of you who are coming all in have been with me before, so you know all about who I am and all of that. So anyway, I am Rebecca Montrone. This is Wondrous Roots, Your Health from the Ground Up. So every Saturday, most Saturdays, I do a webinar. Started out as a radio show way back in 2015. And we do an hour of interesting health-related things, all things natural health, holistic, and getting to the root of things rather than treating symptoms or finding out things from the root that are going on in our health, or preventing things from going on in our health from the root up. That's even better. So anyway, Rebecca Montrone, we have a business here in Keene called Wondrous Roots. I am a holistic healthcare practitioner with a degree in holistic nutrition. And I'm also a full-fledged herbalist, so have make a lot of formulas here. Oh, some going on 200 different formulas. We have a full skincare line as well, all natural, no synthetic anything, and really cutting edge, I would say, when it comes to nutraceutical type cosmeceuticals today. We have, I see clients in personal consultation, either in person here in my office or online like this via Zoom when necessary. I actually have someone this afternoon, an emergent, whenever somebody has an emergency like cancer, I will see them whenever I can. So I do have one of those today. So that's a long distance. This works really fine. So if you're interested in reaching me, you can reach out to us. We have a full, I'm getting this all garbled up. I should have a thing that I just read every time, right? But we have a full, a shop here as well. So I'm a practitioner. I do consultations. I also use a lot of nutritional supplements, herbal or otherwise, a lot of nutrients. So we have a full shop here open to the general public as well, and online store, shopwondrousroots.com. In addition, I have a website called wondrousroots.org. You can actually get very easily from one to the other, but this is much more focused on nutrition. You can get, I'm not nutrition, but on education and learning, and yes, nutrition, but many different topics. So I'll go through that as I start out my webinar today. As I start out my Zoom, I'll share with you exactly how you can kind of get from one to the other. If you're new, you might be watching on YouTube or Rumble for the first time, and if you are, welcome. Glad to have you. Started a series. I think I'll share my screen to just go into that. So I'm going to do that. The number here is 603-439-2603. You can reach out from my websites. If you go to contact us at either one, the message will come to my private email. Nobody else sees those, and I will respond to you. We are open 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Okay, there we go. Okay, and it looks like we have a good classroom here. I'm going to maybe go here. Share my screen. Well, let's do this. Share. I'll just share a general screen, show you how to get from here to there. So if you go to wondrousroots.org, that's my learning, more of my learning website. There you can see Join Me Live Today, which you're doing right now with me. And then if you go to this navigation bar to learn, you're going to see a long drop-down menu, and it keeps getting longer. Today's information will end up on this page, foods, beverages, and superfoods. And in the email announcement, when the video's up, I'll direct you to that. But you'll see over here, this page is in its infancy. There's going to be tons of stuff on here. So we have an index over here that you can easily find. And as you scroll, it moves with you. Today, we're doing number 2 in the series, Stop Eating C.R.A.P. And the first one, so if you hit that, right, it takes you to Stop Eating Crap. And we talk about what that's all about, a webinar series for people who want to eat smarter, feel better, take back their health. Welcome to Stop Eating Crap series, an eye-opening, empowering journey through the modern food landscape. In each section, we unpack one of the culprits lurking in today's diet. I'll be doing mine a little bit different. Those things will all be covered, but we're not doing it in that order, as you well know. Those of you who are with me, again, fructose fiasco, you can see there, but if you hit in the index, you'll see that you can just find whatever you're looking for. Like I'll just demonstrate chocolate, right? So also, if you're looking for, does Becky talk about, I don't know, right? Magnesium. You just go to this search bar up here, magnesium. And you'll see magnesium wondrous roots, or if you just go like that, it'll take you to like the different places you can say it. You can see where I talk about magnesium. So if that's blog posts there, but then you got to go to other pages, you're going to find magnesium talked about in a lot of different places. So I'm just trying to show you a little bit how to navigate on my website because it can be a little bit confusing. But anyway, if we go back to here, say you wanted to, learn about tea when I did my tea presentation, right there. Okay, so let's go back to Stop Eating Crap and then fructose fiasco. So this was what I did last week, what we did last week. And there you can get the video from YouTube. Here you can get the PDF that goes along with it. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. But for now, we're going on to number 2 in the series, Sweet Deception, the Rise and Risks of Refined Sugar. So, and sugar in general, it's very eye-opening. It's very easy to say, oh, we just shouldn't be eating so much sugar. I'm going to put you guys over where I can see you. Hi, hi, hi. Nice to have you all here. And put myself up there. I'm just rearranging my desktop. And then in the chat, if you want to participate in any way, say anything to me, you can type into the chat, you can type into the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and we can speak. Okay, so I think that does that part of the intro. So anyway, yeah, sugar is a huge problem. And I'm going to really be demonstrating that today. And I hope, for all of us, it's a wake-up call to take a hard look at our diets and realize really how much power we have just by eliminating something to take our health back. Prevent problems if we've been doing that. But then for those who haven't, at whatever level, really encourage us all to get on the stick with that stuff. So we'll start out. Sweet Deception, the Rise and Risks of Refined Sugar, how sugar went from a rare indulgence to everyday addiction, and what we can do about it. So this is a quote I had written in my journal. I had read in a book I'm reading, A Christian on the Mount by Thomas Watson, who's a really classic author when it comes to solid Christian writing, if you would, solid doctrine, Christian writing. And now I'm having a hard time with this always, this irritates me. I can't get this just right because I don't like to give away the next slide. Hang on. Just if I can try. Oh, well. Anyway, sugared poisons go down pleasantly. He's talking here about spiritual things, right? But I'm like, yeah, I mean, using a metaphor of sugared poisons go down pleasantly, but afterwards they wring and torment the body. And I just want to tell you, as we move through this presentation, you're going to say, wow, I didn't realize how much. I didn't realize how much. Even I was saying that, even though I knew, right? But when you actually stop and spend time on it and delve in and remind yourself. And here's a much more recent quote. RFK Jr. recently said, this was within maybe 2 weeks ago, sugar is poison and Americans need to know that it is poisoning us. announced at a conference on Tuesday. So I think that was not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. Later, he added, I don't think that we're going to be able to eliminate sugar, but I think what we need to do probably is give Americans knowledge about how much sugar is in their products. And also with the new nutrition guidelines, right, we'll give them a very clear idea about how much sugar they should be using, which is zero. That's how he feels about it. And the new nutrition guidelines, right? The food industry food pyramid that exists right now as the recommendation from Health and Human Services is upside down. It's an upside down pyramid, if you would. And so I'm interested to see when that comes out shortly. So we're going to be going through what cane sugar, sucrose actually is, the history of sugar in the human diet, sugar hidden in plain sight, the biochemical blowback, it's huge. The escape plan, we're not left there. Oh no, what did I do to myself? Can I ever turn this around? Oh yes, sweet freedom. So let's dig in. What refined sugar, sucrose actually is. We talked last week about fructose and how fructose is engineered and made from cornstarch and all of that kind of thing. Well, fructose is first from fruit and honey. But then how high fructose corn syrup made from another way, and then high fructose corn syrup. We're just going for sugar today. Sucrose is a disaccharide, meaning it's a 2-molecule sugar composed of glucose and fructose. It is in its refined form, table sugar. It's typically derived from sugarcane, sugar beets. Though sucrose occurs naturally in fruits and vegetables, refined sugar is stripped of all fiber, micronutrients, and plant compounds, a naked molecule with quick impact and no breaks. So that's really important to know. Yes, we get sugar in fruit. So that must be that it's fine for us, and it is. And coming from those foods and coming from those pure foods and a balanced diet. But when you just isolate it and take it out, we've got a different thing going here. I would honestly like to give, and it's the first time I've thought about it, but it's very similar to when they make a chemotherapeutic drug out of a natural plant, making a drug called Lapachol out of Paudarco that no one could tolerate the side effects of when they tried to run a trial with it. Because why? It was stripped of all of its cofactors. This is what we do when we take sugar out of its natural setting. We create a drug from a natural food. So, wow, I'm glad I thought of it that way. That's really a cool way to think of it. It's exactly true. Precisely true. So sucrose here. So it's molecular structure for those of you who are interested in that chemistry. Once ingested, this photo really breaks my heart, right? Because I mean, you've got a beautiful child here who should be looking at a healthy life. If he's eating like this, no. I'm going to get into that a little bit further. In many ways, no. And how do we not feel the responsibility of the children we're feeding to not do that to them? Wow, it's really amazing. We'll go to great lengths for our children many times, making sure they have the best doctors, the best school, the best this, the best that, and feed them C.R.A.P. Anyway, once ingested, it's rapidly broken down into equal parts of glucose and fructose. Glucose spikes insulin, and fructose, as we now know from last week, heads straight for the liver. If you missed that presentation, go back, and I showed you where to find it. Go back, and it's pretty fascinating. Got a lot of good feedback on people really enjoying that one. The history of sugar in the diet. Ancient humans rarely consumed more than a few grams of sugar per day, mostly from fruits or honey when seasonally available. 700s AD, sugarcane cultivation expands through the Middle East and into Europe. And in the 1600s to 1800s, the rise of sugar plantations exploded. Sugar becomes currency, commodity, and catalyst for major trade and exploitation. By the 20th century, sugar was in tea and jam and baked goods, and then in everything, so that by 2024, last year, the average American consumes 60 to 100 pounds of added sugar per year. The average American, not that just those at the extremes. Very concerning and sobering. Sugar, of course, is like fructose, and we went through that a lot last week. Not just in desserts, it's not just in things that you say, I'm going to have dessert or I'm going to have a treat, hidden in unexpected places, such as desserts, not just in desserts, such as salad dressings, breads and crackers, yogurt, canned soups, pasta sauces, nut butters, granola bars, protein bars, a lot of things that in many cases you're going to find in health food stores. Got to become a good label reader. It's disguised under names like evaporated cane juice, brown rice syrup, fruit concentrate. Now that's a tricky one, right? That's really easy for them because it makes you, it's like when you're talking about excitotoxins, it's like when you call something a natural flavor. That can be anything. They get carte blanche with that. And so you're just like, okay. Dextrose from corn, maltose, corn syrup, and turbinado, organic raw cane sugar, and it still counts. Remember, if it ends in ose, it's probably gross. Now, I will say that's not always true. We have like a very helpful sugar called D-mannose. D-mannose we use. D-mannose comes from cranberry, and we use it as a UTI, urinary tract infection preventer or treatment. And it does so. It does this by, as it comes through your bladder, it attracts the bacteria, the E. coli, that's causing the infection to adhere to it, and it just passes out without harming you into your toilet. But anyway, for the other things, when you're looking at foods, those oses are probably gross. Also, if you're a person who eats out, or anytime you pick up something ready-made, you can be pretty sure, processed foods such as common snack items, fast food, and most restaurant meals contain added sugar, both flavor and appetite stimulation. So they're not stupid, right? They want you to have more. They want you to be hungry. They want it to taste particularly good. And so many times they're going to add sugar where you might think sugar, why would sugar be there? And yet lurking there. Even processed foods like store-bought marinara, dairy products, white bread, breakfast cereals, cured meats, or frozen meal often contain high amounts of added sugar. The good thing is, at least in our area and in many areas around the country today, there is a clamoring from consumers like us for products that don't contain those things. And so we have an easier time finding them than we used to. So that's a plus. Sweet deception. What was once a rare treat is now a dietary staple. It's everywhere. It's where we're consuming it, even when we don't think we are. The biochemical blowback. This is inside your body. This is what's going on from sugar. And you're like, Becky, that's probably a bit of an exaggeration. No, it isn't. And you're going to see that as we proceed. So sugar's impact on blood sugar, insulin, and dopamine. Glucose from sugar causes a sharp spike in blood sugar. So it's followed by a steep crash leading to cravings, then irritability, and then fatigue. And it goes like that. It kind of goes, and we need a pick-me-up, and we do the same thing to ourselves over and over again. I like this diagram. This is like if you ate a healthy meal without the added sugar, sources of sugar, whatever. This is where your normal glucose excursion is supposed to go. This is why, when you go and you get your fasting blood sugar, when you get your labs done annually, or if you're a diabetic, maybe more frequently, and they do the HbA1c. They want to see how high is your blood sugar going. When you get the HbA1c, it's averaging your blood sugar levels over 3 months' time in the hemoglobin part of your blood. But this is how it's supposed to go. Nice and friendly. The insulin comes in and it dips down slightly. But when you eat a high digestible high amount of digestible carbohydrates, so refined carbs, sugar, this is what happens way up here. Now, insulin has to come in because it has to deal with that. It has to handle that. And so as it does, it crashes the blood sugar down fast and deep. You can see it goes well below here. And then that insulin blocks the fat breakdown, blocks fat burning, and stimulates fat storage. Right here, we have what is going on that is causing a large part of the chronic disease, if not the lion's share, in the United States population right now. It's right there. That's what's happening. And it's happening. You don't see it happening, but it is. And again, the good news is can turn it around. So the glucose crash here triggers hunger for more carbs. Then insulin surges manage glucose overload. The repeated surges having to do that lead to insulin resistance. Eventually, the insulin's efforts are repelled by the body. The cells of the body don't want to receive the glucose out of the bloodstream, so we end up with insulin resistance, leading to type 2, what we call then metabolic syndrome, leading to type 2 diabetes and fatty liver. Wow. Here's the deal with sugar too. It's not just, it is actually addictive. So you can say, well, I really like sugar. So I have a hard time stopping eating it because I really like it. Well, it goes well beyond really liking it. So here's what happens. You eat sugar, you like it, you crave it. It has addictive properties. Blood sugar levels spike. Dopamine now is released in the brain. Addiction equals addiction. So dopamine is the neurotransmitter involved in addictions, I would say of all kinds. Whether it's alcohol, cigarettes, or even something like pornography. Addiction stimulates, raises dopamine, or those things raise dopamine, and then we become addicted to them because of that dopamine hit. Then mass insulin secreted to drop blood sugar levels. Blood sugar levels fall rapidly. High insulin levels cause immediate fat storage. Body craves the lost sugar high. Now, I have people every week in my office or on Zoom or in emails. What can I do to lose weight? Nothing I try. I don't care what I do. I can't lose weight. Now, I'm not saying there aren't extenuating circumstances where somebody's thyroid is off and they go on a low carb, low sugar diet and they still don't lose weight. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Hormones coming into play. I'm not saying that never happens. But I am going to say the minute you do this, your insulin levels cause immediate fat storage. So think about that as you're opening your mouth and you just say, you know what, maybe not, maybe no, thank you. Because I've been complaining about this fat storage on my body. Body craves the lost sugar high. So you got that high, but that goes away. That high falls and you want it again. Hunger and cravings, low blood sugar levels cause increased appetite and cravings. Thus, the cycle is related. The low blood sugars does cause cravings, but there's also the addictive potential properties of sugar that also cause you to crave again, like you would crave anything else you were addicted to. And so dopamine is released in the brain. So you have the compulsion. I want that candy bar. You get the reward. You feel pretty good. You feel good initially, right? Motivation, right? Pleasure. You get the pleasure. Your motor functions are accentuated or whatever. Whatever you're doing, you're getting that. And then perseveration, you get it to break up, and it comes down, and you get the compulsion again. What's really interesting is dopamine activates the reward pathway. The more sugar that's consumed, the more blunted the response, leading to escalating intake, aka addiction dynamics. That's what it is. Now, the amount that got you stimulated and satisfied your craving for a while is no longer enough. And that's the pathology of addiction. So this is very interesting. They have evidence for sugar addiction. There was some question about that as I was looking through the years, well, is that just, are we overblowing that? Is it really addictive, or is it just a bad habit, right? Evidence for sugar addiction, behavioral and neurochemical effects of intermittent excessive sugar intake. So here, I'm just going to read this a little bit. I might be able to just blow that up. I can see it a little larger. The experimental question is whether or not sugar can be a substance of abuse and lead to a natural form of addiction. Food addiction seems plausible because brain pathways that evolve to respond to natural rewards are also activated by addictive drugs. Sugar is noteworthy as a substance that releases opioids and dopamine, and thus might be expected to have addictive potential. So here we have opioids involved as well. This review summarizes evidence of sugar dependence in an animal model. 4 components of addiction are analyzed. Binging, withdrawal, craving, and cross-sensitization are each given operational definitions and demonstrated behaviorally with sugar binging as the reinforcer. These behaviors are then related to neurochemical changes in the brain that also occur with addictive drugs. Natural adaptations, including changes in dopamine and opioid receptor binding, enkephalin and mRNA expression, and dopamine and acetylcholine release in the nucleus accumbens. The evidence supports the hypothesis that under certain circumstances, rats can become sugar dependent. This may translate to some human conditions as suggested by the literature on eating disorders and obesity. And then here, when you're reviewing my PDF later from my website, if you're interested in doing that, I do have where you will see links and you'll be able to read more if you are so inclined. Okay, bring that back. Whoops. Now, where was I with my, I think that's right. So the key point, refined sugar is not natural. In effect, whoops, I have to bring it down one more. It's been removed from its whole food context and behaves like a drug in the body. So in many cases, it's not a lack of willpower alone. It is a biochemistry. So when you're planning to come off sugar and cut sugar out, you might find it harder than you thought it might be. It doesn't mean you can't do it, and you certainly can, and you should, but you might find it a bit of a challenge. So again, the addiction loop: crave, spike, crash, repeat. crave, spike, crash, repeat, often coupled with mood swings, anxiety, and energy dips. And just from that alone, right? But the fact that you're not getting nutritious food because you're using up your stomach space for these types of foods. And think about children. Think about children because they're only going to eat so much. So you fill them up with sugar, and now they're not getting the nutrients they need from whole foods. It's terrible. It's actually child abuse, in my opinion. And here's this. So yeah, sugar is the new cigarettes. Sugar increases insulin, insulin increases fat storage, and it's addictive. 93% of lab rats chose sugar water over cocaine. Doesn't come with a warning label, but maybe it should. We've demonized nicotine. Sugar quietly hijacks your brain, floods your bloodstream with insulin, and drives relentless cravings. It's not just a treat. It's a metabolic manipulator in a sweet disguise. Break the cycle, reclaim your health. So what's really interesting in this study, the study referred to is titled Intense Sweetness Surpasses Cocaine Reward. So the rats were often, I'll just read it, but blah, 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 and colleagues published in PLOS One in 2007. In this research, rats were given a choice between intravenous cocaine and water sweetened with saccharin, not even sugar, which gives us another whole side to this, which we're going to delve into in a second. Remarkably, 94% of the rats chose the sweetened water over cocaine, even when they had previously been exposed to cocaine. This preference persisted even when the concentration of the sweetener was reduced, indicating the strong appeal of sweet taste. This is what's going to carry over into our problem with artificial sweeteners, because the sweet taste itself is addictive. The findings suggest that intense sweetness can surpass cocaine reward, highlighting the potential addictive properties of sugar. And yeah, it isn't just the sugar, it's the sweetness itself. Yeah, the study commonly referenced for the sugar's addictive power, just reinforcing that, actually used saccharin, an artificial sweetener, in the water. It doesn't change the takeaway, just the scope. Our brains aren't just hooked on sugar, but on sweetness itself, regardless of calories. So you're going to get the insulin uptake and crash from actual sugar. Sometimes you get that from artificial. Next week, going to focus on artificial sweeteners such as aspartame, sucralose, Splenda, NutraSweet, Splenda, saccharin. I'll cover the so-called healthy sugars too, like molasses, maple syrup, and honey, and point out some of their benefits and use in moderation and all of that. And that's going to wrap up sweetener talk, but sweet talk. That'll be the last one of my sweet talks. And but we've actually seen with artificial sweeteners too that you can get that insulin spike in spite of the fact that there's no actual sugar there. So stay tuned. Sugar addiction, again, pushing the drug sugar analogy to the limit. Summary, the biological robustness and the neural substrates of sugar and sweet reward may be sufficient to explain why many people can have difficulty to control the consumption of foods high in sugar when continuously exposed to them. Yeah, let's see this. Well, let's just go ahead and read this. Available evidence in humans shows that sugar and sweetness can induce reward and cravings that are comparable in magnitude to those induced by addictive drugs. Although this evidence is limited by the inherent difficulty of comparing different types of rewards and psychological experiences in humans, it is nevertheless supported by recent experimental research on sugar and sweet reward in laboratory rats. And then it goes on to that. So yeah, it's messing with your head. Sugar is messing with your head. And that's not all. I've got now sugar in your immune system. Immune disruption. Here's a lesser known side effect of sugar. It competes with vitamin C for cellular uptake. Sugar and vitamin C share a similar molecular structure, and when blood sugar is high, it blocks vitamin C from entering immune cells, especially macrophages, our pathogen-devouring warriors. So yeah, you've got vitamin C, which is the big immune booster, macrophage igniter for doing all those wonderful things in your immune system. And yet sugar uses the same receptor and blocks it out. So a good way to, here we say when these cells are deprived of vitamin C, they become sluggish and ineffective, like a knight sent to battle without a sword. This is why excess sugar weakens immunity, raises vulnerability to infections, and contributes to chronic immune dysfunction, aka cancer. Not just cancer, but very much so. We'll be getting there. This is why kids get sick after Halloween. I remember my chiropractor saying every year when kids have, around Halloween time, parents will be bringing in their kids for adjustments and stuff. Even the healthy-minded kids, oh, come on. Okay. Why kids get sick after Halloween. Sugar weakens the immune system. And here you go. This is kind of like explaining that whole phenomenon. So you've got a parking lot here, right? So all of these cars are empty parking lot. We had an empty parking lot, and this is all sugar. Sugar came in to the macrophages and locked in to the receptors. So sugar and vitamin C both compete for the same cellular doorway, the glucose transporter GLUT1, nothing to do with glutathione, by the way. When sugar levels are high, it hogs the spots, blocking vitamin C from entering the immune cells. The macrophages, especially during cold and flu season or after a Halloween binge, high sugar equals low defense. Moral of the story, clear the lot for vitamin C, your immune system SWAT team. So not only are you getting all of those other negative effects of this sugar you're eating, but you are blocking out vitamin C, which is hugely important for the immune system. If sugar is hogging the parking spots, vitamin C can't park, and your immune cells cannot fight without their gear. Now, this is really interesting. So you have these macrophages, right? Well, okay. These aren't macrophages. They're cars. Well, they're cars, but the parking lot was the macrophages. So that doesn't really, but think of that. Okay, so the macrophages. So the macrophages are designed to help your immune system, but they can be messed with and turn on you and become evils, right? Become evils in tumors. So you can always go back and look at that, how sugar instigates macrophages to be evils in tumors. It's this is very important and very interesting. Therefore, this study illustrates well how sugar instigates macrophages to be evils for tumor metastasis and chemo-resistant, and is important for developing new strategies to target M2 like TAMs. It's what they become when they become renegade and evil. The evil macrophages are called TAMs for improved immunotherapy. So here, let's describe that a little bit better. Macrophages are key immune cells that normally help identify and destroy cancer cells, but sugar can dramatically alter their behavior. In a high sugar environment, particularly within tumors, macrophages are often reprogrammed into what's called tumor-associated macrophages, or TAMs. Instead of fighting the tumor, these corrupted immune cells begin supporting it, suppressing the body's defenses, promoting blood vessel growth to feed the tumor, angiogenesis, helping it to spread, metastasis. In essence, sugar doesn't just interfere with immune function, it turns some of our best defenders into traitors, shielding cancer from attacking and helping it to grow. So in my cancer webinar, and when I work with people with cancer, I tell them we use beta-glucan grown on yeast. Why? Because beta-glucan marks the cancer cells in the body as enemies, where previously they were incognito, and your macrophages, part of the immune system, thought that they were friends. And so beta-glucan marks them as enemies, then raises the macrocytosis activity against them, going in and gobbling them up, getting rid of them. Sugar tweaks it the other way and turns them into traitors, actually assisting cancer. So when people ask you, people ask me, is it true that sugar causes cancer or sugar feeds cancer? Yes, it does, but not just through providing the glucose through the GLUT receptors, but also changing your immune system's own activity against the cancer. It's huge, a huge reason to drop all sugar when you are when you have cancer in your body. But then you've got the opposite, the flip side. You got, hey, I'm over here. The white blood cell's in trouble, and the vitamin C is saying, here, I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to rescue you. It's been eating sugar. It's in big distress. And now the vitamin C says, here I am, here I am, here I am. Immunostimulation by vitamin C. A review of the literature shows that vitamin C undoubtedly has a positive effect on some mechanisms of the natural resistance against infections as well as the immune response. It is generally accepted that vitamin C increases the chemotaxis of granulocytes and macrophages. There is also ample evidence that vitamin C increases the phagocytic activity of granulocytes as well as of macrophages. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble up your cancer. That's what phagocytosis is, macrocytosis, phagocytosis. Phagocytosis, the bigger picture with the granulocytes, and macrocytosis with what the macrophages do, but they all do phagocytosis. As to the effect of vitamin C on the immune response, the available data allow the conclusion that vitamin C is necessary for the induction of delayed hypersensitivity, i.e. cellular immunity. And again, you can see that study there. Vitamin C empowers the immune system to fight cancer, not just by warding off colds, but by enhancing the performance of immune cells at the front lines. It stimulates the movement, the chemotaxis of macrophages and granulocytes towards threats like tumor cells and boosts their ability to engulf and destroy them, phagocytosis. Vitamin C also plays a critical role in cellular immunity. That's innate immunity, supporting delayed hypersensitivity responses that are key in identifying and eliminating abnormal cells. In contrast to sugar's immune sabotaging effect, vitamin C activates and sharpens the immune forces, helping restore their role as vigilant defenders against cancer. This is why people go for vitamin C infusions when they have cancer. This is why we use formula CK3 for cancer. Vitamin C is huge when it comes to cancer, but what opposes it, its arch enemy, is sugar. Vitamin C kills cancer cells with hard-to-treat mutation. And now, the really sad thing that we should be ashamed of, the not-so-sweet effects of sugar on children, right? Because they're going to want sugar especially if you've spoiled their taste buds by offering it to them when they're really little, when they didn't need it, when they didn't want it, when fruit would have been fine. This is what we have. The impact of excess sugar on children's health, blood sugar instability. Our kids are not healthy today. They just seriously are not. I'm so delighted when I meet healthy children. But that's definitely not the norm. Blood sugar instability. Sugar causes rapid glucose spikes and crashes, leading to irritability, tantrums, fatigue, poor focus, especially in younger kids with more sensitive nervous systems. We really are poisoning our kids when we're feeding them this sugar. Think we're giving them a treat, and then, oh, you can have another one. I mean, it just gets to be that they don't give up in begging. Gotta put your foot down. Cognitive and behavioral issues. High sugar intake is linked to reduced attention span, hyperactivity, and even worsened symptoms of ADHD. Chronic overconsumption may affect brain development and impulse control. Wow. Weakened immunity. Again, sugar competes with vitamin C, blah, 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 blah. Dental decay. Sugar feeds oral bacteria, producing acids that erode enamel and cause cavities. Still the most common chronic childhood disease globally. Appetite dysregulation. Excess sugar disrupts hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, promoting cravings and overeating. This lays the groundwork for poor eating habits and metabolic issues, risk in our children of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Regular sugary beverage and snack consumption in childhood is strongly associated with early onset obesity and insulin resistance. Conditions once rare in children, not so now. That's why RFK Jr., he couldn't have gotten to our federal government any sooner. I mean, any later, yeah, however I want to express that. He should have been there like 10 years ago. That would have been good. Poor nutrient absorption. High sugar diets are typically low in essential nutrients, yeah, and may impair mineral absorption, especially calcium and magnesium, affecting growth and bone development. And then long-term health risk program. Childhood sugar habits set the stage for adult chronic disease, including cardiovascular disease, fatty liver, and even cancer risk through epigenetic changes and persistent inflammation. And let me tell you also, through modeling, they don't know how to feed their families properly. I've seen that. Had a woman that stands out in my mind who really wanted to come in and get help with natural ways, but had no background from her upbringing in why certain foods were a problem. And yeah, and that kind of sometimes blows my mind because I'm thinking that isn't that just known? But no, some people are just brought up this way and they cook the way and buy groceries and cook and eat the way they grew up. Not putting two and two together, not putting two and two together that this is why all my kids, my husband and I have health problems. So now sugar and accelerated aging. That is the thing we're going to really focus on here for the next lion's share of the time we have left. What's with the turkey, right? That's not sugar, Becky. I know turkeys aren't sugary, are they? You wouldn't think so. Read on. This is fascinating. I have talked about this before, so some of you know exactly where I'm going with this. This is advanced glycation end products. I think it's very interesting that the acronym is AGES because that's what it does. This is the turkey skin, right? Sugar binds to proteins and fats, forming sticky, damaging compounds. Picture this, a turkey roasting in the oven, golden brown, sweet smelling, crisp skin. That's glycation in action. Now imagine that same caramelization effect happening inside your body on your nerves, blood vessels, retinas, and kidneys. This is especially common in diabetics whose tissues are bathed in excess glucose 24/7. Got to turn that diabetes train around, people. This is death. I mean, in the long term. And again, that's why when I showed you that apocalyptic scene of the bio fallout of sugar in your diet, yeah, it's true. So these kinds of things kind of are not my favorite way to learn, but run with me through this a little bit. So you've got glucose. It comes into your body and it starts to make it makes these a number of ways. It's not just one way. So on this level, it makes this Schiff base and an Amadori product. So this takes hours to days to this chemical reaction in your body. And the Amadori product, days to weeks, your hemoglobin A1C is going up. That's another chemical change. And you create the age-related glycation end products in weeks to months. And these are some of those. And then here you are glucose, sorbitol, fructose, and other metabolites. They come over here. They get converted into alpha oxaldehydes, which then also create these AGEs. Glucose oxidation, the glucose in your bloodstream becomes oxidated. You get the fats in your bloodstream becoming oxidated and inflammation occurs. And then we create more alpha oxaldehydes and more age-related glycation end products. The perfect example of some of the effects of advanced glycation end products in the body form when sugars bind to proteins like collagen and elastin. Just think about that. You're like, what am I going to do? My skin's getting wrinkled. What's going to happen? What can I put on my skin? Guess what? You can stop what's going on there. Okay, so form the age advanced glycation end products form when sugars bind to proteins like collagen and elastin, which are proteins, the structural scaffolding of the skin. This process causes cross-linking, which stiffens and distorts these normally flexible fibers. As a result, the skin loses elasticity, becomes less resilient, develops wrinkles and sagging. Cross-linked collagen is also more resistant to normal enzymatic repair, accelerating visible aging and impairing the skin's ability to regenerate. The cumulative effect, a breakdown in dermal integrity from the inside out. Right, this is an inside out thing. Glycation, simplified here, sugar molecule, collagen. A sugar molecule binds to collagen. Collagen becomes brittle and less elastic, causing the skin to age. And here we have somebody's really wrinkled back of their neck. Research advances on the damage mechanism of skin glycation and related inhibitors. Our skin is an organ with the largest contact area between the human body and the external environment. Skin aging is affected directly by both endogenous factors, that's from the inside, and exogenous factors such as UV exposure. Skin saccharification. Isn't that an interesting term? Skin saccharification. That's what you're doing. You are sugaring, you are saccharizing your skin. A non-enzymatic reaction between proteins, such as dermal collagen and naturally occurring reducing sugars, is one of the basic root causes of endogenous, from the inside out, skin aging. During the reaction, a series of complicated glycation products produced at different reaction stages and pathways are usually collectively referred to as advanced glycation end products. Those cause cellular dysfunction through the modification of intracellular molecules and accumulate in tissues with aging. AGEs are also associated with a variety of age-related diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, renal failure, kidney failure, and Alzheimer's disease. AGEs accumulate in the skin with age and are amplified through exogenous factors such as over sun exposure, resulting in wrinkles, loss of elasticity, dull yellowing, and other skin problems from the inside out. And they just don't age your skin. They wreak silent havoc on high vulnerability tissues like the kidneys, nerves, and retina. These tissues are particularly susceptible because they have long-lived proteins and poor regenerative capacity. Glycation leads to protein cross-linking, which stiffens and thickens delicate structures like glomerular membranes, that's the kidneys, myelin sheaths and axons, your nerves, which is why diabetics often have peripheral neuropathy. And retinal vessels and photoreceptors in the eyes, which we often have diabetics with retina, sometimes going blind. The result is progressive loss of filtration, nerve conduction, visual clarity, all hallmarks of diabetic complications, but often underway long before diagnosis. Age-related glycation end products also trigger chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, compounding the damage over time. So here we have, all of these things: peripheral neuropathy, diabetic foot, arterial disease, glycation and diabetes, understanding the devastating effects of glycation. So anyway, proof is in the science. But we also have age-related glycation end products significantly compromise cardiovascular health by damaging the proteins that keep blood vessels strong, flexible, and responsive. Glycation cross-links structural proteins like collagen and elastin in the arterial walls, not just the skin, right? Causing them to become stiff, brittle, and less elastic. This leads to increased blood pressure, impaired circulation, and greater risk of vascular injury. AGEs also affect endothelial function, reducing nitric oxide availability and promoting inflammation and plaque formation. They're like, wow, I thought that was all about something else in my diet. Whoa. No, it's all right here. Over time, the biochemical rigidity weakens the cardiovascular system from the inside out, a key driver of atherosclerosis and heart disease, especially in individuals with insulin resistance or diabetes, and many times the two go hand in hand. So anyway, have some more information about that there. And this is kind of interesting if you actually look at the AGEs, age-related glycation end products are actually involved in every part here. Okay, so they are cross-linking in your heart tissue, your myocardial tissue. You have an age-related glycation end product receptor now that is causing fibrosis in your cardiovascular health, which can lead to thickening of the blood. Impaired calcium metabolism, keeping the calcium, coronary calcium scan anybody, keeping the calcium in your arteries instead of in the bones where it belongs. Atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, vasoconstriction, narrowing of the arteries, thrombosis, hyperclotting. And then myocardial stiffness from that cross-linking in the myocardial tissue. So the heart tissue's impaired relaxation, impaired contraction, coronary artery disease, endothelial dysfunction, vascular stiffness, all leading here to diastolic dysfunction, systolic dysfunction, vascular dysfunction, high blood pressure, and heart failure. AGEs are deeply implicated in cognitive decline, hugely, accelerating the processes that lead to dementia and neurodegeneration. When sugar glycation cross-links proteins in the brain, especially tau and amyloid beta, it promotes the formation of plaques and tangles associated with Alzheimer's disease. These sticky, dysfunctional proteins disrupt neuron-to-neuron communication, leading to memory loss, confusion, impaired cognition. They also damage the blood-brain barrier, increasing blood-brain inflammation, blah, blah, blah. Over time, the brain quite literally becomes sugar damaged. Dietary advanced glycation end products are associated with decline in memory in the young elderly. Glycation and bone health, believe it or not, and that's actually super important for the bones. Advanced glycation end products don't just stiffen skin and damage organs, they weaken bones too. AGEs accumulate in collagen within the bone matrix, making it brittle and less resilient. Cross-linking interferes with bone remodeling, reduces flexibility, increases fracture risk, even when bone density appears normal. Glycation literally ages your skeleton from the inside out. And then you have some more science pointing to that. Other stealthy glycation triggers, just to mention them, not just sugar, but then you add these other things in here. Tobacco smoke introduces glycotoxins directly into the bloodstream, accelerating cross-linking and AGE buildup, especially in the skin and lungs. Alcohol, excessive alcohol metabolism generates acetaldehyde, a reactive aldehyde that promotes glycation and oxidative stress, double trouble for your tissues. Burnt or charred foods, so like a burnt piece of toast, you really get a lot of glycation going on there. So you're better off eating steamed, sauteed, poached foods, you know, for the most part, eating foods that are not fried, not cooked at really high temperatures. UV radiation, amplified, the too much sunbathing there is amplified, especially in the skin. So sugar plus sun equals SAG, and chronic stress, raising blood sugar and cortisol, both of which contribute to protein damage and metabolic glycation. What do? Can I get out of here? Sugar escape? Reclaim your taste buds, brain, and bloodstream? Absolutely, yes. Sugar detox. Just begin. Sugar detox. Now, how do you do it? There's there's a couple of schools of thought, and it has more to do with what you're like and how you best do things. You can go cold turkey. The pros of that are you have immediate effect. Eliminating added sugars all at once can lead to a swift decrease in cravings and a rapid reset of taste preferences. Clear boundaries. Some individuals find it easy to adhere to a plan with strict guidelines, reducing the temptation to cheat. I like that. Like, I don't eat this. That means every time it's presented to me, I don't have to make a decision. That decision was made. It's already done. I just don't eat this. So you guys who've gone on a strict thing, or when I stopped, I decided I didn't want alcohol in my life a couple of years ago. And I just said, you know, I just don't want any alcohol. It's like when I'm out, I don't make a decision. Am I going to have a drink or not? I just don't. Cons. Withdrawal symptoms. Sudden cessation may lead to headaches, irritability, fatigue, and strong cravings, especially in the first few days. Sustainability challenges. The abrupt change can be overwhelming, making it harder for some to maintain long term. So perhaps best suited for individuals who prefer definitive rules and can handle short-term discomfort for a long-term gain. Then we have the gradual reduction, sustainable shift. The pros, manageable adjustments. Slowly decreasing sugar intake can minimize withdrawal symptoms and make the transition smoother. Long-term habits allows time to develop and reinforce healthier eating patterns. Cons, slower results. Progress may be less immediate, which can be discouraging for some. Oh, I cut back on my sugar and I didn't notice anything. Potential for slips without strict boundaries, like I was talking about. There's a risk of reverting to old habits. Perhaps best suited for those who prefer a flexible approach and are focused on long-term lifestyle changes. I'm running just over by, looks like I'm going to run over by a couple minutes, but I'm going to breeze through. We're almost done. We can do it. Empowering tips for sugar intake. Regardless of approach, read your nutrition labels. Identify hidden sugars, looking for ingredients that we talked about. Choose whole foods. That's really easy. Shop the periphery of the grocery store. Just get creative with your cooking if you're not used to it. Stay hydrated, drinking water. Dale's asking, did I mention stevia? No, that's going to be mentioned next week. And stevia is a sweetener that I would consider a safe sweetener, except for the sweet taste. But I would say definitely stevia, monk fruit, that kind of thing. But I'm going to address those next week. Choose whole foods, and then that's a good thing to say. But if you're trying to get rid of the sweet taste, I would even say try to go without those things just to change your taste buds. Stay hydrated. Drinking water can help reduce cravings and improve overall well-being. Plan your meals and snacks ahead of time, right? And seek support. Do this with a buddy. Increase healthy fats. You can go back and review this on my website later. Eating more fat overall can reduce your sweet tooth and can help you make better choices, fills you up too, and you're not looking and prowling. Choose fresh fruit. If you're truly detoxing from sugar and want to avoid even natural sugars during your detox, then you might want to avoid fruit for a limited time. Most people should consume at least 1 to 2 servings of fresh fruit a day as part of a balanced diet, but go with your berries. Very low in sugar. Stick with berries, especially in the initial things, and then broaden it out to more variety of fruit. Eat more protein. Make sure you're getting enough protein at breakfast. That will help with weight loss and feeling full. What you eat at breakfast also influences what you eat at the rest of the day. Try a recipe like these things. Those all lead to a website that I thought was helpful. And they also have the sugar-free foods shopping list with it, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, blah, vegetables, goes all down like that. So you might find some good ideas there. I'm sure you can find a lot of good recipe websites and things too for that. Get more sleep to balance the hunger hormones. Studies support that. In addition to leaving sugar behind, there are some nutrients that you can use to help combat glycation going on in your body. And so if you're in that place where you already have, these are some. Benfotiamine, I'll highlight in a moment. Benfotiamine is a great anti-glycation supplement, but some of these other things as well. And you can go, when you look at each of these, when you click on them again, you will see the science provided for you there. You know me, I always like to back up what I say. And so these are some other things that you can get put into your supplement program. Benfotiamine, fat-soluble form of vitamin B1, powerfully intercepts the glycation process at its roots. It activates transketolase, a key enzyme in the pentose phosphate pathway, which diverts excess glucose away from damaging metabolic routes that lead to the formation of these age-related glycation end products. By reducing the buildup of harmful intermediates like blah, 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 a notorious precursor to AGEs, benfotiamine effectively blocks the biochemical cascade that caramelizes proteins and fats in the body. This not only protects tissues like nerves, eyes, kidneys, and blood vessels, but also helps preserve cellular function and reduce chronic inflammation tied to metabolic disease. So definitely benfotiamine, if you did nothing else for that, benfotiamine, that I would vote for that. We have that here. We have covered a lot. Inflammation, glycation, addiction, its impact on everything from your brain to your bones. It's clear this sweet little substance can do some serious damage. Back to our original quote. Sugared poisons go down pleasantly. Boy, do they taste good. But afterwards, they wring and torment the body. But remember the exciting truth. All we have to do is stop eating it. Sweet feeling of freedom. And thank you for joining me. Now, if you have anybody want to put in the chat, anything to say, anything to add, or whatever, let me know. And I'll do that quickly. Dale asked about stevia, and I am going to be talking about those things. That's going to be our last session on sweeteners, will be next week. So I will be getting there. So if not, I'm going to say goodbye, let you go. It is a Saturday afternoon, and I'm sure you have things you want to do besides sitting here and listening to me talk. But I'll be back next week. I hope you have a great weekend. And again, happy Mother's Day to every mother. It is a special holiday for many. And I will also, I hope you have a good week in the meantime. Take care and be well.